Hi, everyone. I am Jody Schwan. I am the publisher of Sioux Falls Business and happy to once again be your host for Talent Thursday in partnership with the Sioux Falls Development Foundation. This has been a really fun series of conversations, and I know today's will be as well. It's been great to introduce some of the exciting talent that we have working and building careers here in the Sioux Falls area. This is all leading up to a great event we're going to tell you more about too coming up in early October. But first, let me introduce our guests for today, beginning with the talent behind today's Talent Thursday. And her name is Kim Munoz. She's a personal banker over at First Premier Bank, and she's coming to us from the Development Foundation today with my co-host for Talent Thursday, Denise Gazzetta. So hi to both of you.
Hello. Nice to see you again, Jody.
You too. We are also lucky to have with us today, also from the First Premier organization, Nick Smith, who is Talent Acquisition Manager. And I'm probably going to let him wear a couple hats and talk about his own journey, as well as what they're doing at Premier to foster such outstanding talent as Kim. So hi, Nick. Thanks for being with us today. He's coming to us from First Premier, right?
Hello, yes. Premier
Great.
Bank card, First Premier Bank.
All right, we will get back to you briefly, but first I'm going to talk to Kim. Let's get to know you a little bit better. Again, thanks for agreeing to share your experience with us. Why don't you begin at the beginning for me? Tell me a little bit about growing up and the path that led you to where you are today.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
That's really, I feel really honored to be part of Talent Thursday. We moved to Sioux Falls when I was 6 years old from Nebraska. I'm a twin, as I was explaining yesterday. I started at Bank Card in 2011, and I worked for the credit card side in the customer service department. And I worked there for about 4 years, and I switched over to the bank side in 2015, I believe. And it's about to be 9 years in November that I've been there. And right now, I'm a personal banker with First Premier Bank. I was going to school at the University Center while I was working at Bank Card, and then I'm still currently in school at the University of South Dakota, also through the University Center. So hopefully I plan on graduating next year.
Great. And you were pretty young when you started there, right?
Yeah, I started and I was 17 years old, and I was a student at Washington High School.
Was it your first job?
It was actually my second job. My first job was McDonald's, and I actually started there when I was 14, and I worked there for almost 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You've got a great long work history then. And we hear many good stories actually about people who started at McDonald's and who go on to these terrific careers. And First Premier too is an organization that actually you might be surprised to learn has a lot of young people working there, right? I mean, I feel like for high school and college students, these are terrific job opportunities.
And if I will add, that is so unique when you think about the financial services industry, right?
Right.
So what a success that they really have been able to attract and retain, really much needed talent that I think is one of the reasons why we're having Kimberly and Nick today. I mean, they have such interesting stories too. So just a lot of different types of opportunities.
Yeah, and a lot of times we hear this stereotype, right, which is that people of a certain age job hop, that they're moving around a lot. And Kim, you've been at the same organization for a while now, but you've been able to try different things and take on different positions. What is it that's kept you there?
I think there's a couple things. One of them is the culture. First Premier just has such a great culture, and they're so inviting of all walks of life. I mean, they were so flexible with my schedule when I was on the credit card side and going to school. And then on the bank side, they're really flexible with allowing me to step away from the office sometime and do things like this without thinking that I have to work overtime or anything like that. As far as being involved in the community, they're so for that, and they really encourage volunteering. So because of First Premier, I was able to join Lutheran Social Services as a mentor. I participated in Leaders of Tomorrow and their work through Think 3D, and then also joining Bridging the Gap through the Community Foundation. So there's a lot of things that get me involved in the community, and that I do have to step away from my job, but they're okay with that because they know that it's a way to represent Premier and to also give back as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about your community involvement too, because I think that's a really key and interesting part of your story. But I'm going to bring in Nick now to kind of back me up here, I guess. Am I perceiving this right about Premier, that one, it is a very welcoming organization to young people, and also that you have a lot of people like him who begin in school and stay with you to build their careers?
You're absolutely correct. We have a great summer internship program that we run here. We have scholarships that we run, but as well, our call centers offer a very flexible schedule, knowing that, we need that flexibility of where the call volumes are the heaviest. And so we don't necessarily always need someone who's going to be here 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And so it works out very well to have evening hours, weekend hours for those who are also working in a school schedule. And we also know and have had many examples like Kim where they stay on with Premier and they continue to grow their career with us. Not necessarily, sometimes it's related to their schooling, sometimes it isn't. They just find that Premier is a great place to work, and that when you work hard and you show that you've got a little bit of gray matter between the ears, you're able to advance and work your way up here.
Tell me about your own personal path, because it's a bit similar, somewhat at least, as far as how you got connected with Premier and what's kept you there.
Yeah, I actually started with Premier when I was 19. Much like Kim, I came from food service industry. I came from TGI Fridays, where I had my buttons of flair.
There's a throwback. Yeah.
But really, I just had a friend who recommended Premier at the time. I was looking for something that was a little bit more stable, a little bit more consistent. And so I came and just started off in our collections department as a representative on the phone. No prior experience. They trained me, and I was able to, show that I had desire to kind of advance and work my way up. So between collections and then our sales retention department, I spent 5 years on the phones, as a frontliner with our customers. And then the opportunity came along to join our quality assurance department as an analyst. And so that was really kind of my springboard into more of a professional type role. Again, not having had prior experience, they took a chance with me based on what I had shown so far in my time with Premier. Did that for a couple of years, but I really had wanted to get into people management. And so Premier offers a management associate program here. I tried for that a couple times, and unfortunately I did not get in through that. But I kept the persistence going and kept showing that it was my desire and my drive was to be in management. And so I posted for a unit administrator role within our sales retention department again. I'd been there on the phones, and then I was able to get that foothold into a management position within retention, and did that for 4 years. And then I saw an opportunity come up within our IT department. They were looking for someone to manage the desktop support team. Not having any technical education, no college degree, but I had developed the people management side of things at that point. So I threw my hat in the ring, and again, the hard work and the dedication I had shown paid off. I was able to spend the next 8 years with our technology group managing a combination of our desktop support team and then our help desk. And after doing that for 8 years, the opportunity for talent acquisition manager had come along. And they were really looking for someone who could blend kind of a combination of some technical experience to try to infuse a little bit more technology into how we draw people to our organization, how we track things, how we report, how we market, that kind of thing. And so the combination of the technical background that I had somewhat developed over those 8 years, and just knowing pretty much every department in the company and the leaders within those, it was a good fit. And so I've been doing that for about 1.5 years. At this point in time, certainly still drinking from the HR fire hose each and every day, learning new things. I've far from perfected the role, But it's just one more example where Premier has given me the opportunity to advance myself, to learn something new. So while I don't have a college education, I really feel like Premier has been my educator. I've been able to, collect a paycheck and care for a family, while learning new things, being challenged. And the culture here, as Kim spoke to, is amazing. I've never had any reason in the 20 years that I've been here to really look outside or pursue something else, because when you look at what Denny Sanford has done for South Dakota with, donating back $1.5 billion over the last 30 years, allowing paid volunteer time. We have over 30,000 volunteer hours within the community from our organization each year. Just ways that Premier definitely goes above and beyond just exchanging your time for a paycheck.
Okay, fantastic overview. And Denise, don't you think it really just shows how we have these organizations in our community where you go in with one role and yet they're diverse enough and they care enough, frankly, about your professional development that you're learning all across your career and you're able to try so many different things.
Absolutely, Jody. I mean, this is one of the things that I always consider to be part of the Sioux Falls advantage is, I moved here like you, I'm an East Coaster, and I have found that our business community is extremely engaged. You have a lot of good opportunities where companies will really invest in the people they have. That's why we have two great examples here of employees that, have been retained in a great organization and continue to give back not only to that organization, but also to the community. And it's interesting because this is exactly what we want to see. We want to see where people have that engagement, they have that professional growth, they have that opportunity, and they can do it for a company in an area that really is doing good work. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just fun to see those journeys that frankly happen as a result. And Kim, I want to come back to you and just talk a little bit about your current role, because I think maybe we've got some people who are maybe thinking about going into banking, or maybe their kids are thinking about going into it. Give me a sense of what to expect. What does your job entail, and what do you like best about it?
So as a bilingual personal banker, I mostly have Spanish-speaking customers, and I know that something that we would definitely need at First Premier are people who speak multiple languages so that we can cater to people with different backgrounds. As a personal banker, my role is to finance what we like to call finance possibilities. So if someone needs to purchase an auto or refi their home because they want to update, do some home improvements, then they would talk to someone like me.
Well, I think that gets at too. We all want to do work that matters. And I mean, you're really making a huge difference for people who might otherwise be challenged to have that one-on-one personal relationship with somebody. I have to think that's really rewarding.
Right. And one of the things I like about Premier is that we really take the time to sit down and talk to the customer through their financial needs and kind of develop a plan of, okay, this is what would work best for you in regards to your credit report, or this is what we need to do in order to make that possibility, that thing you would like to have funded, turn into a reality. So I really like that we can make the decisions in our office instead of something spitting out a response and us just following a rule book. These guidelines help us make our decision, but at the end, it's the banker's choice to see, okay, this is what we're going to do, or this is the route we're going to follow. So I really like that, because not all banks can say that they go that same route.
Do you see a career path yet for yourself there? I mean, do you have goals professionally that you'd like to achieve? Are you happy where you're at today, or what do you think that looks like for you?
Yeah, definitely would like to, be with Premier for a while. Like Nick was saying, I've never thought about being anywhere else. We have, I'm thinking 33 different types, different banks here in Sioux Falls, and Premier is the best in my opinion. As far as career path, we always have a review that tells us this is where you're at right now, and this is where you're going to be if you follow this guidelines. And I definitely see myself moving up in the future with Premier, and hopefully that's sometime soon too.
You talked about the flexibility, which I think is huge. The opportunities for professional development, but I think culture is bigger than that. So, help me kind of understand what it's like to be part of that team. It's a big team. So how do they still manage to make it feel like one cohesive culture for you?
I think one way they manage to keep it cohesive is just the availability of managers. I know that if I ever have a question, concern, or even just need help with a certain loan that might be difficult for me, I can always reach out to a manager and they're going to respond very quickly. Where I think, again, in other establishments, it might be a little bit more difficult. And the fact that higher management comes and actually has a moment to meet with every new hire also shows a lot. That's very important to know that Dave can walk in and remembers my name and remembers that I'm a twin and things about me. I think that's amazing. Yeah, I think that's awesome that they can come and make you feel at home. I've never felt that it was more so like a corporate world. It felt like a family.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic. Denise, you've gotten to know them too. What stands out to you? I mean, you see other employers as well. So I guess what do you think distinguishes Premier?
Oh, family, very family oriented. I mean, and a large organization that really has kept, I believe, the essence of what we all want to see nowadays, and that's employer branding. You know, what do your employees say about your corporate culture? And that's why, you know, it really resonates with me when I'm talking to Kimberly or Nick or Sandra or anybody within the Premier family, that it really is a very cohesive, very friendly, very open culture. And I think the other thing that I find amazing is the investment and the flexibility that they give people to continue their education. We know that education, and Kimberly, I mean, you've talked about this, it's going to be this continuous path for the rest of your life. And how great is it that you have an employer that supports that and that understands that? So I think it's great.
One of the things that comes to mind for me when I think of Premier as an employer, and Nick, I'll bring you in on this, is employee appreciation. I mean, this company does employee appreciation like hardly anybody I have seen, especially for a large team, in big ways, and I think in small ways too. And we even saw it here this year during COVID. I thought being very understanding and flexible, you know, as far as employees and their work-life balance needs. But how do you describe the culture, Nick, as you're talking to new hires and working through the different processes in your HR world that you have to do within the organization?
Absolutely, and that has been something I've experienced for the 20 years I've been here. So that it's not a new feel, it's not a new priority for Premier. You know, we're right in the neighborhood of 2,200 employees right now between the bank card and the bank side of things, and yet our CEOs and our presidents know just about everybody by first name basis. They do come around and they talk with people. They know who we are. You know, for me, whether that's a good or bad thing that my CEO knows me by name, I don't know. But and the other things that we'll do is, you know, oftentimes we'll have a bonus around the end of the year or a gift. You know, this last fall, we had Dave Matthews Band brought in, and we had a company provided party where it wasn't just for us. Each employee was able to bring 3 additional people. You know, so I mean, there was 4 tickets given to each employee. Money was given out for concessions at that concert. And then they surprised us with, depending on, you know, our tenure with the company, up to a $1,500 bonus for everyone. That was just a surprise giveaway at that point. So whether it's big things like that, or it's just, as Kim spoke to, having an open door policy, our management all the way on up to the president, CEOs, they have an open door policy. If you have a concern, you know, chances are it's being addressed even at a management level that's more on the front lines. But if not, certainly come and bring it to them. They will make the time to talk with you. So I've never experienced anything contrary to that in the time I've been here.
And Nick, maybe we should point out too, I think sometimes people think financial services and they think bank, they think banker. And obviously we're talking to a banker, but within your organization, I mean, you have so many different kinds of roles, right? I mean, what skill sets could potentially find a match within the Premier organizations?
Yeah, when we look at our staffing and our hiring, we kind of tend to break it into two sections. One is more of our entry level positions, which would be, a little bit more of the bulk of the hiring that we will do each year, typically in our call centers, which would be customer service, sales retention, collections. We have a new customer center, which is kind of like our credit department. On the bank side, of course, there's teller roles, and there's a customer care unit there as well. But then we also have many professional level roles that a person can pursue, not just on the financial side of things, but software development. We have our own software development team of 60 plus individuals. We have our own internal IT for technology. So we're supporting ourselves. We don't third party support the organizations. A finance team and an MIS team. Things where you don't necessarily, like you said, think about it as being like the frontline individual who will be extending a loan or talking with a credit card holder. Just all those support groups. We have 20 plus different departments within the credit card side of things alone. And the bank probably has somewhere in that same neighborhood for departments. So when you think of between the two organizations, 40 to 45 different areas that you really could touch, you could work in. There's a lot of diversity here and a lot of things that happen behind the scenes when you think of, how do I go and get a loan? How do I go and get a credit card? It takes an army to provide that service.
Right. Yep. That's what I was hoping to get at there. So thank you. I mentioned we're going to talk community involvement. Obviously, this company wants its employees to be out in the community, to be giving back. Kim, I think that's a great fit for you based on your energy for giving back. But talk to me a little bit about how you have been able to connect to the broader Sioux Falls community and really feel like you're making a difference above and beyond even what you do through your job.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. How I connected to the Sioux Falls community?
Right. I know you have lots of great community involvement, and I feel like you've been able to really take ownership of that yourself too. So talk a little bit about what you are able to do to give back even above and beyond your job.
Yeah, so above and beyond, about 2 years ago, First Premier sponsored myself and another banker with Think 3D for Leaders of Tomorrow. And that was an 18-week course that just improved my leadership skills. And through working with Tamian and V, I was able to realize that I had the potential of volunteering even more and giving back and just finding a lot of, honestly, just a lot of fulfillment within myself as far as giving back. And so through Leaders of Tomorrow, I started checking out in Sioux Falls how else I can be involved, and that opened the pathways for our growth project, for LSS, and now for Bridging the Gap. And of course, like I mentioned, throughout joining all of these different nonprofits, I was able to do that with First Premier giving me the green light every single time.
Yeah, and I think, for this new generation of talent, Denise, this is huge to know that your employer is going to support it. There are going to be avenues to give back. And just as importantly, I think that this community allows you to create that pathway if it does not exist. If you see needs in the community that are not being met, which I think Kim and her friends and coworkers have done a really good job of beginning to fill some of those voids.
Absolutely. And I think one of the interesting things when you look at First Premier too, and both Kimberly and Nick have talked about this, and Jody, we certainly have experienced, the leadership there is very, very engaged. And so they have the same belief. They're very involved in the community. So the whole entire organization sort of shares that common thread and really that common goal and that involvement. And that's what we see inside Sioux Falls community. So, it's a pleasure when I meet somebody and I hear a story. I started out as a banker, and I shared this the other day with the two of you guys about, what it was like for me early on and how I was navigating my career and some of the choices. And so, the one message we'd like to get out today, because this really is about promoting, skilled and technical talent and really kind of lifting up all of those wonderful opportunities and career ladders and journeys, is to talk about this in the context of how you can build a meaningful career, but also still satisfy your own personal desires and your goals to really give back. And so I just love the examples that they have provided today, and I think continue to see their involvement in our community as our community grows. And certainly, we are a very diverse community. So, I could see that you get involved in the elementary schools. Mm-hmm. I talked about the fact that I have young children, and so, they're Spanish speaking. And so that's a wonderful thing. And it's a wonderful way to give back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I mentioned this is all leading up to a really terrific event. So I want to make sure we mention that Talent Draft Day coming up in October. Denise, why don't you give us the details of that?
Absolutely. So Talent Draft Day 2020 will be October 8th. We are starting at 9 o'clock and we go to 4 p.m. We are inviting 76 schools from the upper Midwest to participate in sessions and career clusters for the healthcare, the life sciences, the biosciences, the business community, our engineering and building trades, as well as our technology job clusters. So if you haven't seen an invitation in your inbox from your school, just know that you could just go on to Handshake, which is a network that we are working with to sort of promote all the opportunities we have here for talent like Nick and Kimberly. But go on to your Handshake page and look us up and then register for one of the events that we have going on.
Great. I'm going to give you the last word here, Kim. If we've got a young person or some parents maybe out there watching, hoping to take on a similar career path and be seeing elements of themselves in you, what advice would you give your younger self? What would you say to students maybe just beginning that career path today?
Yeah, and someone actually asked me this question today while taking a loan application, and I think if I could talk to my younger self, the number one thing I would say is don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that when I was younger, I thought to myself, well, I can do this on my own, or I can figure it out, and we need that help sometimes. So I think just reach out to anyone nearest you if you're a young person, and maybe ask to be mentored. I think that would be a huge benefit in finding out what your skills are and improving those skills, or what your weaknesses are so you can turn them into strengths. I know that when I was my younger self, I would have loved having that opportunity of having a mentor and not being afraid to, ask for help or ask for advice.
Sure. Great thoughts. Okay. Well, once again, just a wonderful conversation. Any closing thoughts from anybody? Anything we missed here? If not, remember, you can always comment below. If you do have questions, we'll watch those and get you answers. And absolutely sign up for Talent Draft Day. Whether you're a student or employers, you can always connect with the Development Foundation, and they will have a pathway for you to get connected to all of the talent that you need to access here in our community too. We will do more of these Talent Thursdays leading up to Talent Draft Day, so make sure you're watching the Sioux Falls Development Foundation's Facebook page as well. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.